Good morning, everyone. I thought I would take a brief moment here and read you George Washington's Rules of Civility. And this is a gift from the George Washington Masonic National Memorial Association. George Washington's many virtues have inspired Masons to regard him as a true exemplar of the dignity and morality that our craft espouses. He was 20 years old when he was initiated into Freemasonry and learned its beautiful lessons, and they are. So let's start. Every action done in company ought to be with some sign of respect to those that are present. When in company, put not your hands to any part of the body not usually discovered. Show nothing to your friend that may affright him. In the presence of others, sing not to yourself with a humming noise, nor drum with your fingers or feet. If you cough, sneeze, sigh, or yawn, do it not loud, but privately, and speak not in your yawning, but put your handkerchief or hand before your face and turn aside. Sleep not when others speak. Sit not when others stand. Speak not when you should hold your peace. Walk not on when others stop. Put not off your clothes in the presence of others, nor go out your chamber half-dressed. At play and at fire, it's good manners to give place to the last comer, and affect not to speak louder than ordinary. Spit not in the fire, nor stoop low before it. Neither put your hands in the flames to warm them, nor set your feet upon the fire, especially if there are meat before it. When you sit down, keep your feet firm and even, without putting one on the other or crossing them. Shift not yourself in the sight of others, nor gnaw at your nails. Shake not your head, feet, or legs. Roll not the eyes. Lift not one eyebrow higher than the other. Why not the mouth? And bedew no man's face with your spittle, by approaching too near him when you speak. Kill no vermin as fleas, lice, ticks, in the sight of others. If you see any filth or thick spittle, put your feet dexterously upon it. If it be upon the cloths of your companions. I said cloths, not clothes. No. Put it off privately. And if it be upon your clothes, return thanks to him who put it off. Turn not your back to others, especially in speaking. Jog not the table or desk on which another reads or writes. Lean not upon any one. Keep your nails clean and short. Also your hands and teeth clean, yet without showing any great concern for them. And as we all know, that poor man had the most tragic form of dentures. I mean, no wonder why he was bleeding all the time. I mean, that must have been, like, agonizing. But this isn't part of the book. Do not puff up the cheeks. Lull not out the tongue. Rub the hands or beard. Thrust out the lips, or bite them, or even the lips to open or close them, or even scratch the side of your nose. Be no flatterer, neither play with any of the delights not to be played withal. Read no letters, books, or papers in company, but when there is a necessity for the doing of it, you must ask leave. Come not near the books or writings of another, so as to read them unless desired, or give your opinion of them unasked. Also, look not nay when another is writing a letter. Hey, dude, people don't speak this way anymore. You know. Let your contestants be pleasant, be in the serious matters somewhat grave. The gestures of the body must be suited to the discourse you are upon. Reproach none for the infirmities of nature, nor delight to put them that have in mind thereof. Show not yourself glad in the misfortune of another, though he were your enemy. When you see a crime punished, you may be inwardly pleased, but always show pity to the suffering offender. Do not laugh too loud or too much at any public spectacle. Superfluous compliments and all affection of ceremony are to be avoided, yet where due they are not to be neglected. In putting off your hat to persons of distinction, as noblemen, justices, churchmen, etc., make a reverence, bowing more or less according to the custom, the better bred, and quality of the person. Amongst your equals, expect not always that they should begin with you first, but to pull off the hat when there is a need and affection, in a manner of saluting and re-saluting, in words keep to the most usual custom. 'Tis ill manners. Yeah, really, who speaks this way? I'm like, dude. 'Tis ill manners to bid one more eminent than yourself be covered, as well as not do it to whom it's due. Likewise, he that makes too much haste to put on his hat does not well, yet he ought to put it on at first, or at most the second time of being asked. Now what is herein spoken of qualification and behavior and saluting ought also be observed in taking of place and sitting down for ceremonies without bounds is troublesome. If anyone come to speak to you while you are sitting, stand up, though he be your inferior, and when you present seats, let it be to everyone according to his degree. When you meet with one greater quality than yourself, stop and retire, especially if it be at the door or any straight place to give way for him to pass. In walking, the highest placed in most countries seems to be on the right hand. Therefore, place yourself on the left of him whom you desire to honor. But if three walk together, the middest place is the most honorable. The wall is usually given to the most worthy if two walk together. If anyone surpasses others, either in age, estate, or merit, yet would give place to a meaner than himself in his own lodging or elsewhere, the one ought not to accept it. So he, on the other part, should not use much earnestness, nor offer it above once or twice. To one that is your equal, or not much inferior, you're to give the chief place in your lodging, and he who 'tis offered ought at the first to refuse it, but at the second to accept thou not, without acknowledging his own unworthiness. They that are in dignity or in office have in all places precedency, But whilst they are young, they ought to respect those that are in the equals in birth or other qualities, though they have no public charge, and good manners, to prefer them to whom we speak before ourselves, especially if they are above us, with whom in no sort we ought to begin. Let your discourse with men of business be short and comprehensive. Artificers and persons of low degree ought not be used many ceremonies to lords or others of high degree, but respect and highly honor them, and those of high degree ought to treat them with affability and courtesy without arrogance. Which doesn't really apply today, does it? No. In speaking to men of quality, do not lean, nor look them full in the face, nor approach too near them. At least keep a full pace from them. Because really, nobody wants to be seen with some other people. I have been shaking my head like this for 3 whole hours. In visiting the sick, do not presently play the physician, if you be not knowing therein. In other words, let's go play doctor. In writing or speaking, give to every person his due title according to his degree and the custom of their place. Strive not to your superiors in argument, but always submit your judgment to others with modesty. Undertake not to teach your equal, and the art himself professes. It savors of arrogance. Let thy ceremonies and courtesy be proper in the dignity of his place, with whom thou converses. For it is absurd to act the same with a clown and a prince. Do not express joy before one sick or in pain, for the contrary passion will aggravate his misery. When a man does all he can, though it succeeds not well, blame him not that it did. Being to advise or reprehend anyone, consider whether it ought to be in public or in private, presently or at some other time. In what terms do it, and in reproving show no sign of choler, but do it with the sweetness and mildness. And we all know that doesn't really apply because when it comes to today's times, people like to call you out in front of as many people as they can. Why? Because it makes them feel better than you. Noted. I turned my head. And I am making a little light of this. Why? Because this is some pretty heavy reading. And really, let's face it, you're gonna want people to relate to this on some level, in hopes that maybe they would go on about their day and think about this. Maybe they'll go about their day and look something up. But when it comes to this sort of reading and this sort of written form, if I were to read this as dry as it is, you'd be bored to tears. And that's not really what we want, now is it? Now let's see. Take all admonitions thankfully, in time or place, soever given, mind the dog. I'm sure a car just went by or something. He seems to do that. Don't mind him, if you wish. But mind him, I'm sure. You're going to want to mind him, because he's a big dog. Mock not, nor jest at anything of importance. Break no jest that are sharp biting. And if you deliver anything witty and pleasant, abstain from laughing thereat yourself. Was he like mocking me? Wherein you reprove another, be unblameable yourself. Ah, oh, thank you. For example is more prevalent than precepts. Use no reproachable language against anyone, neither curse nor revile. And we all know what that means. Be not hasty to believe flying reports to the disparagement of any. And dude, I'm like, some of these words here are like, we don't even use those anymore. Wear not your clothes foul, ripped or dusty, but see they be brushed once every day at least, and take heed that you approach not to any uncleanliness. But when it comes to the ripped jeans, run it up, buddy. Especially if you're gonna like tote out some 80s garb. Oh yeah. But we all know he didn't make it to the 1980s. In your apparel, be modest, and endeavor to accommodate nature, rather than to procure admiration. Keep to the fashion of your equals, such are as civil and orderly with respect to times and places. Not me, honey. You need to get dressed to the mother nines. Stand out, babies. Wear something flashy and sexy and makes you feel good. I mean, really. Because the better you look, the better you feel. Run not to the streets, neither go too slowly, nor with the mouth open, because you might get some bugs in there. Go not shaking your arms, kick not the earth with your feet, go not upon your toes, nor in a dancing fashion. And yet, if you're dancing in the streets, you should do that. Play not the peacock, looking everywhere about you, to see if you be well decked, if your shoes fit well, if your stockings sit neatly, and clothes handsomely. Eat not in the streets, nor in the house out of season. Street vendors have some pretty bangin' food, especially if you're in Los Angeles or anywhere in Southern California or down in Mexico. You should try that. Now, I haven't tried it too much down way in, like, New York City or anything, because it's been like decade and plus since I've been down there, and I really don't think I want to eat that food. Yeah. Associate yourself with men of good quality, if you esteem your own reputation, for 'tis better to be alone than in bad company. Speaking of bad company, God love rock and roll. And when it comes to keeping of good company, really, you need to do that. All of you. And that's why I am a Freemason. And walking up and down in the house only with one in company, if he be greater than yourself, and he's going to show it to you, he's going to act like it as well, isn't he? At first give him the right hand, and stop not till he does. And be not the first that turns, and when you turn, let it be with your face towards him, if he be a man of great quality. Walk not with him cheek by jowl, but somewhat behind him, but yet in such a manner that he may easily speak to you. So really, what that's telling you is you don't really want to walk with that person all that close to you. Let your conversation be without malice or envy. Learn from that one. 'Tis a sign of a tractable and commendable nature, and in all causes of passion admit reason to govern. Never express anything unbecoming, nor act against the rules moral before your inferiors. And really, you can't learn from that. Be not immodest in urging your friends to discover a secret. You should seek out Freemasonry. Utter not base and frivolous things amongst grave and learned men, nor very difficult questions or subjects amongst the ignorant, or things hard to be believed. Stuff not your discourse with sentences amongst your betters nor equals. Really? People aren't going to get this if you're going to be talking this way, so don't. No. Speak not of doleful things in a time of mirth, or even at the table. Speak not of melancholy things as death and wounds. Dude, talking about death, talking about things like cemeteries, that's awesome. Side note, because I love going to cemeteries. And I'll sit around the table and talk about it. And if others mention them, change. If you can discourse, tell them not your dreams, but your intimate friend. Yeah, really, because you don't want to tell somebody what your dreams are in life. 9 out of 10 these days, people are gonna slam you down. A man ought not to value himself of his achievements or rare qualities of wit, much less of his riches, virtue, or kindred. Yeah, that goes along with Taoism and all of that, babies. You know, there you go. Be humble. That's what they all say. And flow like water. Break not a jest where none take pleasure in mirth. I don't really have any mirth. But I do have... Actually, I do in LA. But I do have some stuff with me that smells pretty sexy. Well, that's not really what it's talking about. But we all think of frankincense and myrrh. Laugh not out loud. Oops. Nor at all without occasion. Deride no man's misfortune, though there seem to be some cause. If you're going to laugh at somebody a little less fortunate than you, you suck. Speak not injurious words, neither in jest nor earnest scoff. At none, although they give occasion. That's true. You should really take that to heart. Everyone should. Be not forward, but friendly, and courteous. The first to salute, hear, and answer, and be not pensive when it's a time to converse. Most people like to put you down. Oh, I find that to be... And there you go. Or, oh, I enjoyed it. Or, oh, it wasn't that bad. But I liked it because of you, my baby. I mean, you know what I mean? Detract not from others, neither be excessive in commanding. I like to stand out in a crowd, but at the same time, I like to flow in to the crowd. Can you figure that out? Go not thither where you know not whether you shall be welcome or not. Give not advice without being asked, and when desired, do it briefly. On a side note, nobody wants to hear your opinion unless they are asking for it. And keeping it brief, yeah, what does that mean? Don't lie to them, but more often than not, people just want you to lie to them and tell them exactly what they want to hear. And they don't want to hear anything more, nothing less. If two contend together, take not the part of either unconstrained, and be not abstinent in your own opinion, and things indifferent, be of the major side. I'm kind of making light of this reading. This is one of the best things you're going to read. One of, because there's so many books that I am like all down for. And I do have a few books that I find to be like some of the greatest reading material I've ever known of. But if I can get somebody to relate to this on a human level in today's times, who maybe wants to go ahead and read it for themselves, meditate on what you find in here. Gaze not at the marks or blemishes of others, and ask not how they came. What you may speak in secret to your friends, deliver not before others. Oh, honey, what happened to your... How'd you get that? You know what I mean. Or you know what George Washington meant. Speak not in the unknown tongue in company, but in your own language, and that is those of quality. Do and do not, as they vulgar sublime matters treat seriously. So really, if you go into a pizzeria, and those people that work at a pizzeria know that you speak English and they start speaking Italian, you should probably get up and walk out. Mental note. Think before you speak. Pronounce not imperfectly, nor bring out your words too hastily, but ordinarily and distinctly. Some of the words I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. When another speaks, be attentive yourself, and disturb not the audience. If any hesitance in his words, help him not, nor prompt him without desired. Interrupt him not, nor answer him till his speech be ended. That is, unless you're giving your proficiencies. Because in a time of giving your proficiencies for your degrees in masonry, sometimes, like my coach helped me quite a bit. I mean, not giving me the entire thing, you know what I mean? But my coach really helped me, and I just probably would have lost it at that point. And I don't mean in a bad way, but I mean like, it's gone. But I needed a little bit of help. So in those times, do it up. You know, if you're his coach or something like that, do it. Because he's got so much stuff going through his head. And if you were like me at the time, I was giving him my proficiencies. I was on medications. I couldn't remember anything. I just needed a little help. So don't run all with this. Now, where am I? In the midst of discourse, ask not of what one treateth, but if you perceive any stop because of your coming, you may well entreat him greatly to proceed. If a person of quality comes in while you're conversing, it's handsome to repeat what was said before. even if you don't like to repeat yourself, you might want to do it. While you are talking, point not with your finger at him of whom you discourse, nor approach too near him to whom you talk, especially to his face. Yeah, because if I'm talking to you and I'm putting my finger in your face, you're not going to hear me. You're shutting out. Talk to the hand. Treat with men at fit times about business, and whisper not in the company of others. Yeah. Make no comparisons, and if any of the company be commended for any brave act of virtue, commend not another for the same. Dude, seriously. Give as many people compliments as you can. Even if they're random strangers on the street, give a compliment. Because chances are they might need that compliment for that moment in their time more than you ever thought was possible. You can save people from suicide. Be not apt to relate news if you know not the truth thereof. In discoursing of things you have heard, name not your author always, a secret discover not. Don't talk about people behind their back, and don't be gossiping around all the gossip you heard. Be not tedious in your discourse or in reading unless you find the company pleased therewith. And we're almost done here, my little babies. Be not curious to know the affairs of others, neither approach those that speak in private. You don't need to walk up and be like, "Excuse me, what are you talking about?" Undertake not what you cannot perform, but be careful to keep your promise. You don't want to make any promises you can't keep. You know what I mean? You don't want to tell people like, "Oh, I can help you with that," and you know you can't. When you deliver a matter, do it without passion and with discretion. However mean the person be you, do it too. When your superiors talk to anybody, hearken not, neither speak nor laugh. Listen. Just shut up for a minute and listen while somebody else is speaking. Don't interrupt people. In company of these of higher quality than yourself, speak not till you are asked a question. Then stand upright, put your hands and hat